How's the day going? What's life like? Well, today I have something to tell you guys. It's Badge Lion here with the podcast, and this podcast I'm going to read off the notes I've been taking, and this podcast is going to be over the four subjects of matter, which is one is willpower, two is judgment, three is personality types, and four is the code of ethics. I'm ready to present you my information, and let's get right into it. Badge Lion, let's roar. Authenticness has to do with judgment because the harder you stand strong on your point of view, the more pride that you convey, and the more self-esteem that you convey, and the more real and passionate it is to the judge. So this one is my biggest thing that I've been dealing with for these last few years is being in front of judges. And the more I'm in front of a judge, the more I realize I am a judge, and the more I realize that I am my own attorney, and the more that I realize that the law has been made for my betterment than for my mistakes. So the first one is willpower. Now the 4 points that I have on willpower are self-control, determination, persistence, and restraint. So willpower with self-control will have you be able to say no when you need to say no. And you'll be able to say yes when you need to say yes. But it all has to do with controlling yourself. Determination has to do with willpower because without willpower, you will not know how the outcome will, it could either be a maybe or a questionable outcome or an unpredictable outcome, but with willpower, you'll be able to see your vision and be able to act on your vision. And persistence is to do with willpower because willpower without persistence is like running a marathon and haven't trained. You will die down that somewhere in that marathon. 5 miles in, 6 miles in, you will not be ready. So that's where the persistence comes in. And restraint. Restraint is knowing your limits, knowing how far to go, knowing how far you've came, and knowing that how much willpower you possess all is determined on how much you're willing to take. So this is very important to me because, the way that I live my life, I have uplifted a lot of people that have never received the word or have never received gratitude for their works. And the way I do that is by displaying what good willpower looks like. Second point. My second point is judgments. So, in judgments, the 4 points that I have under judgments is insight, perception, wisdom, and authenticness. So, judgment is a lot based on third party. So I explain judgment as in like there's always going to be somebody that you don't know or that you don't like that has a determining factor on the decision that you made. So insight is the more insight that you have on the judgment that is being the situation that you're in, the more insight that you can use for data purposes and strategy purposes on the way to go about being in front of a judge or being in front of a crowd or being in front on a stage. Perception and judgment. So perception and judgment is more or less everybody has a different point of view, and to start assuming that somebody thinks like you or talks like you or acts like you is a perception that you're getting on somebody else. So a lot of perception and judgment is only perceiving what's in front of you to be correct, and only perceiving what's in front of you and worried about the things that you're trying to take care of in the moment of being judged. Wisdom, wisdom and judgment go hand in hand. Without judgment, without wisdom, there would be no judgment. Nobody knows everything, nobody's perfect, but when you add wisdom in, the outcome of the judgment will be better off for you than if you did not know how wise you have to be when you're in front of the judges, or when you're in front of the crowd, or when you're in front of the people at work, or when you're in front of your family. Part about personalities. Wow. Oh my God. How joyful, how amazing, how grateful I am. You know, all these different things has to do with the spirit. The personality that you have has to do with the spirit. You should be thankful for having a personality. You could not have one, right? So I'm going to go with the 4 points. The 4 points are: there's outgoing, there's quiet, there's a thinker, and there's somebody who just feels it, okay? So, outgoing, you know, loves being around people, the energy's always there, and those types of people have the personality that most people cater to because of the ability to move around a room without consequences of what they're thinking. And it's a very good personality trait. Quietness, you know, they call it introverted. You could call it many things. The ability to take a few seconds to think about things is a character trait that most people don't have. They won't take the time to think before they speak. So these types of people usually always think before they speak. And when you are around these types of people, you got to know that you might learn something from them that you wouldn't expect somebody as quiet as them to be able to tell you. Then you got the thinker, the analyzer, the dataist, you know, likes to plan, likes to organize, likes to bring a lot of factors into play, likes to bring a lot of statistics into play, likes to have everything figured out in a sense. It's very difficult to be around some of those types of people because a lot of times they are used to rejection and a lot of things like that because they thought things out before it happened. So no matter what, when you're around the thinker character types, you got to know that thinkers will not ever not double check themselves. They always have to check themselves and they check others and they keep things strategically moving in a direction. It's just more of what closer to I am. I'm a mixture of many different personality types, but this is one of the ones that you got to be careful around these kind of people. The feeler, the emotional person, emotional character types, these are the majority of the world. You know, a lot of people have a lot of feelings towards family, friends, jobs, society, and the probability that their emotions will matter dwindle whenever they're not a real emotional person. If they don't know how to express it the way that it needs expressed, if they don't know how to use their body language to help them express it the way they need to express, if they don't know how to use their facial expressions to express the way that they need the message to be expressed, then most likely they don't have the personality type of an emotional person. They call them crybabies. They call them sweethearts. They call them kind people. But usually, in the matter, most people that are emotional have a hard time looking at things logically. But the emotional part of life will never go away. You have to be able to check your emotions just as well as you can check how much money you got in the bank. You have to be able to check your emotions the same way. Now, these types of people are very good at it, and I have a lot of respect for them for that. All these points that I'm speaking on is about needing to know where you are, how you actually get looked at in front of other people, the personality that you possess, the spirit that you hold, the ability to channel the inner you. But last but not least, code of ethics. Anybody who's famous for speaking, everybody who's famous for speaking has what you call the code of ethics. The code of ethics is a moral rule book. It has began to fall in this generation, but previous generations praised those who had a strong opinion. Example is like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Da Vinci, all these artists before us that have created many, many stories and legendary speeches and legendary music. All of them have what you call the code of ethics, meaning there's certain things that they will not do based on being fair to everyone, having respect for everyone, and being honest to everyone. So a lot of people will have jealousy, doubt, envy, all these different things going on in their head, but somebody with a deep, true meaning of the code of ethics will not allow those thoughts to go into their head. Now, not to say that you can control what you think or things like that, but just to say, like, you tell a story, you want the story to have some type of climax and then to have some type of resolution. So code of ethics is kind of the same way. It's not something that needs spoken on. You know, you like to dress nice, you like to smell nice, you like to drive something nice, you like to live somewhere nice. Code of ethics is just the unspoken of truth that gets you there. It's a vehicle. And without transportation, there's no transformation. The Badge Line podcast is mainly to transform what was expected out of my fans into what is the standard. The standard of becoming a 2.0 version of yourself. I'm only one person, so I have to double down on the work that I do on myself so that when it's time for me to relax or to go and enjoy life, I've worked twice as hard when it was my time to work, and the amount of money that I have for a vacation is twice the amount, instead of just average what I thought I was going to have going out there. And this is a lot to do with code of ethics. It's a lot to do with being disciplined. It's a lot to do with willpower. It's a lot to do with discernment. It's a lot to do with how hard it is in life to actually succeed. And if life was meant to be easy, then everybody would have. But because life was meant to be hard and to be a trial and a tribulation, we have to work on our souls, on our bodies, and on our mental capacity every week in order to enjoy the life the way you want it instead of what you deserve. So, you know, Badge Line, Dominic Badger, DDB, Prestige LLC, that's me, and this is the outro. This is the outro. This is been a good talk. It's been a good time to teach y'all about self-discipline, the power of discernment, the superpower of code of ethics. This is our time to level up. Me, my fans, my family, my friends, we all have one responsibility that I have came up with, and that is to love our life, to build a life worth living, and to roar as loud as we can. Badge Line, I'm out. Has got me to the point to where the can't is out of my vocabulary, y'all. I cannot think of can't. I cannot think of the things that can't involves. I cannot think of can't at all. This will be the last time I say can't for the rest of this podcast. Okay?